Hey, what's up, everybody? BDL44 coming at you with another video. All right, so LA Lakers, of course, we dropped the game last night against the Timberwolves home. And now we're trying to figure out, basically, in my mindset, how we can help our playmaking situation if D'Angelo Russell doesn't come back anytime soon. Now, I know we're not necessarily in the dumps with that because Dennis Schroeder's available. He had a bunch of assists last night, even though he had a lot of mistakes that we talked about. Or rather, we didn't talk about, but I've been hearing other people talk about his mistakes more so than I spoke on them. But whatever. Point is, he wasn't a perfect pass first guy for us. We needed him to be. It just is what it is. We needed Anthony Davis to get the ball down the stretch of the basketball game as well. People to establish him. We just needed more playmaking, and we were assuming that LeBron James would be healthy so that we would never have that ever be a problem. You didn't want to bring in too many playmakers because then you would be taken away from his playmaking duties. But if you don't have enough playmakers to make up for when he's not out there, you're going to have this potential issue. So the Lakers are teetering up on not having as much playmaking as they need, and that is exactly what reared its ugly head last night in some situations. Players taking shots for themselves when we knew damn well we should have been running plays. So, some of that's on coach for not putting Austin Reeves on the floor, and we talked about that, needing to put Austin down there for playmaking, given the fact that we were down D'Angelo and Bron. But Darvin Ham has his own ideas about things, and honestly, I don't understand his ideas, what it is he's looking for, and I get irritated when I look at our roster and see how he's using it. Even on top, even if the problem wasn't there, even if we had everybody, it just seems like the way that he rotates this thing takes away from the roster's overall strength. When he tries to go guard, and take away certain elements, like he tries to go down there with Beasley, Schroeder, and Lonnie, none of those guys are pass first. None of those guys are playmakers for one another, etc. So it's just, we've talked much about the front court and how he doesn't leave us on the floor but with one natural big at a time. And it's just a philosophy mistake because Anthony Davis is a big, but he's not a center. We talk about it too much to want to spiel about it now, but it just comes down to how he's using the roster as a whole, man. It's just not the best way to do it, in my humble opinion. We got to use more size. We have got to get away from this three-guard lineup, situation. It doesn't work for us. And so I'm frustrated as always. And I am of the mindset that you don't fire rookie coaches, especially in this situation. But I would not be upset if they fired him today. I wouldn't be. Because with the circumstances we have in place, if there was a solution, that's probably it. It's not necessarily getting rid of him just to be getting rid of him, but you need somebody that knows how to use this roster right now because you don't have many more games to lose before your season's over. And why is this season so important? Because everything you've done is about a win now window that's about this season. Next year, no Bron, and that's the end of the world for what it is that we're ultimately doing here. So if he does decide to opt in, hooray, we got that. Or if we do decide to, I don't know whose option it is. I think it's the Laker. I have no idea whose option it is in regards to Bron's contract. But the point is, somebody could choose, whether it be us or them, in Bron's camp, to move on. And this would be the end of that. And so that's why the importance of getting it right now is so important. Now, you want to just throw away this season, cool. Then we throw away this season, but we have to do certain things that make that also make sense. You got to shut down Bron. Don't ask him to come back. You probably want to shut down AD and have him take care of whatever it is that's going on with that foot. And then from there, you want to get as much of these players like Max Christie, Scottie Pippen, Wenyen Gabriel, Lonnie Walker, and all these young players that you got to figure out which ones you're going to be keeping, which ones you're going to move on from. You got to get them some real playing time, just like we're getting right now with the injury in place. But we need more of that throughout the course of the stretch of the season, so we'll know what we have in the offseason and how best to, shop it if we're not going to keep it, how best to pay these guys if we're not going to keep them. And most importantly, try to devise what it is that we're going to do with our core going forward based on what it is that we've seen in the capabilities of the pieces we have. So, like, for example, if they decide they want to trade Anthony Davis, they'll know which pieces they want to build around with the next people they bring in place, person, superstar, whatever they bring in place. They'll know that Max Christie, somebody we can keep around them, that, Cole Swider, somebody we can keep around them, instead of going into next season and then starting the development process for those guys. Then we can start that development process now and then have a good source of data for which to carry into the summer league and stuff like that. So these are things I'm thinking about as an organizational mindset that I just think comes with shifting your focus from trying to be a playoff team this season to what you need to do to start building for next season. And if you want to be serious about winning, then you got to always be on the right side of that shift. So if we're serious about winning, then we need to continue to do what it takes to win. And if it takes getting the coach out of here and replacing him with somebody who legitimately knows what they're doing, then that will save that timeline. You see, they'll save the timeline. And so that's where I'm at with it. It's like, it's not an importance of getting rid of a rookie coach or he sold this or that. No. We're trying to win. He's the problem. So he obviously needs to go. And so that's the type of organizational decision that's really ballsy that no one would actually do. But if they had the ability to replace him with somebody that absolutely could do what they need to do, it is exactly the type of urgent move that will save them. So this is just an NBA league that just ain't going to do that. In this league, in this era, that's not going to happen. It's required just the same. It's required because this dude is going to keep on doing stuff that's going to continue to help us lose. And it's not that I'm being defeatist and the tone is that of disrespect, but it's not even that. This is matter of fact. I've seen enough to where, so a couple of games ago, put it like this, I was wondering if this is more of what we're going to see. Like, damn, he's still doing this after the trade, right? And then you see games happen where you're like, yeah, he is doing this after the trade. Those games have already just happened for me. So now I'm at a space where I'm like, well, we got to get rid of him. Maybe a few more other fans are in a space where they're like, damn, well, maybe he can make some changes from here. And if he does make those changes, we'll still save it. What I'm telling you is he had already failed that test for me. You don't have that long a rope because we don't have that many games that we can afford to lose. So as far as I could tell, keeping Darvin Ham as head coach of the Lakers is equivalent to making the shift right now to ultimately your season not making the playoffs. I truly believe that. When this man leaves you with a size disadvantage against Naz Reid and Rudy Gobert, you're not going to beat the Suns. You're not going to beat Memphis. You know what I'm saying? Like, these are things that you just know based on what it is that he chooses to do. As long as you're running Rui Hachimura at the 4 and not running enough playmaking out there, and you got these injury issues on top of that, yeah, his schematic choices are going to for sure make it so that you lose certain games that are ahead of us. It's just what it is. I look at that New York game. I feel bleak about that New York game. I know what type of defense they play. I know the way Jalen Brunson's playing. I know the way Julius Randle's playing. If he goes out there and rotates this lineup against them in that way, we're going to lose. Especially if Robinson's on the floor. Not a chance. You're not going to win. They got too much size, just like the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they're a better team than Minnesota for sure. So if you're going to weigh it against that, you're going to lose. You know, we just lost to Memphis. We know what it takes to beat Memphis because we also have beaten Memphis already this year. But, you know, it's one of those situations where it's like, if we don't have everybody healthy and Bron ain't able to mask some of those mistakes that Darvin makes with this roster, the players that are down there ain't going to do it. That's what it really comes down to. They're not going to mask his mistakes by overachieving in those disadvantaged positions. They're not going to do that. That's a bigger problem in and of itself. It's like it's very few players in this league that I think can succeed when they're at a disadvantage. But the guys we have, nah. And they shouldn't even be asked to. But that they are asked to is that you won't see success. And so for me, I'm like, all right, firing Darvin Ham is the solution here. If we want to go forward, give him another year. I do suspect that he will get better, but he'll still do stuff like this because he really believes in stuff like this. This is a philosophy thing. Some of the mistakes he's making are rookie mistakes, not using his challenges, not calling timeouts, you know, leaning on certain players that don't give him the best success, or not, you know, opposite of that, maybe overreacting to certain players' mistakes, leaning in on certain players, and all that stuff is mistakes. But as it pertains to how he's lining these guys up, yeah, that's not something that's a philosophy thing. He got like 3 other people down there he's picked to be around him that agree with that nonsense. You know what I'm saying? It's not a rookie mistake. It's just a choice in what it is he believes will work. And so for me, it's like, nah, I need a coach that none of that. I need somebody that's thinking entirely differently. That's gonna have these people doing completely different stuff. And in doing so, I think we'll be a much better basketball team. That's it. You know, not everything that we run is bad. Guys play hard. I don't know that every coach would have this team playing hard. These are things that matter. But at the end of the day, you can play hard all you want. If you're down at a disadvantage, you're going to lose. The other team's playing hard too, and they ain't lined up in a disadvantaged position. They're playing hard too. So, yeah, good luck with that. I'm done, man. I'm tired of watching our lineup in this way. Seeing our roster be used in this way it's not necessary. It's not necessary when you make a trade, the type of trades that we've made, and you have all this length. You got Mo Bamba, Anthony Davis, and Jared Vanderbilt. Do you know what you can do defensively with that lineup? I think about a guy like Max Christie and how good he is defensively. Austin Reeves and how much he's able to close plays, flopping all over the place and stuff like that defensively. I think about the good things that I've seen Schroeder do defensively, especially when he has big people around him. And I'm just sitting here and I'm like, these are why the things don't work out. Because this guy just be looking at the roster and saying, let me see if I can get some more shooting out of Beasley. And then if I put Lonnie next to Beasley, I'm really going to have some firepower. And then Schroeder will give me firepower. And then I'll have Rui and he'll really have firepower. It's like none of this stuff has anything to do with getting stops or complimenting the players he's putting on the floor or none of that. And then when he sees it don't work, he gets frustrated like, let me put Austin out there. It's like, no, that's not how you do this, bro. That ain't how you do any of this. All that is wrong. What you want to do is give yourself as much size as possible and use the guys who have the most two-way ability next to those players in key moments to keep your lead. If your starters, your Anthony Davis and your guys get your lead for you, you need your second unit to be able to keep it, bro. And if you don't, leave them with an advantage that they can have for one another, so that they can have the next guy next to him be able to help them weak side, so that they can have the next guy next to him be able to box out, be capable of boxing out the person that he's jumping away from so that he can, help on the weak side for someone else. If that last line of defense is Dennis Schroeder, you're going to get scored on. It doesn't matter how hard Dennis Schroeder's playing, he's getting scored on. And so these are the things that we talk about. And Darvin's he's just not good at this, man. At these aspects of the game that really, really cater to either winning or losing, he ain't got it. He ain't got it, man. And so, I'm cool. I don't need to see more of this. You know why? Because I've seen enough bad coaches to know what a bad coach looks like. It don't take long to know. And so he's a good players coach. There are aspects of his coaching that are really good. But ain't none of the stuff that's going to help you win. He better have an offensive and defensive coordinator to the left and right of him. That's the problem. That is the problem. So it's like, the Lakers need to get him those things. I said this a month ago. You need to expand his coaching staff. That's what needed to happen. He needed his coaching staff expanded so whatever isn't there could be. People telling him, hey, I see something that you don't see. Hey, this is another thing that I've been working on for the last 3 days or whatever. Check this out, because I know y'all been focusing on that, but this is what I'm looking. He needs more of those. I see like 3 little dudes next to him. That's it. It's coaching staff. Like, what the hell is that? You're a rookie. So, that's the problem right there. That is the biggest thing that hasn't been spoken of. Darvin Ham's whole coaching staff needs to be expanded, man. He needs more help. And so that's where we're at, man. I'm frustrated. I think that our team has been doing the right things as it pertains to learning from certain mistakes. So I'm not poised to think that we're going to continue to make this here mistake. I think we will expand his coaching staff if we keep him. I think we will get things in a way that helps us learn from what we've just seen. But the fact that we're still in it makes it very, very frustrating, especially when the games that we're trying to win must be won. It's like we don't want to wait till next season to see the results of us learning from these mistakes. We need these things to happen now because this is when Bron is here. Next year, we might, who knows, be our superstar next year. Well, we have all this wisdom, but not nearly as good. So it's like, man, we got to get it right now. And if that means firing the coach on some real bold stuff, damn it, I'm with it. I'm sorry, Darvin, but I'm trying to win, fam. I don't give a damn about nothing other than winning, I tell you. You could be my dad down there. God rest his soul. I'd want him fired, bro, if he gonna keep us losing. I kid you not. That's the type of Laker fan I am. So it's like, we got to get it right, man. Stop playing games as it pertains to this roster, leaving us with disadvantages up and down it. Now, the second thing I want to say, there's an entirely different part of this conversation. Had nothing to do with that. Our point guard position, we're mentioning we need to improve upon it, whether D'Lo comes back healthy and Bron come back healthy or not. We do not need to find ourselves leaning on Dennis Schroeder to be our playmaker for any reason ever again. So we need to either call up Scottie Pippen, which I think is the most reasonable move, given the fact that he's not going to cost us a damn thing. Bring him up. He's already with our organization. He's having an amazing G League rookie season, which should probably be an NBA season. But whatever, he's developing nicely there. And we like that because that means he can help us right now. Please give some consideration in having this kid be a part of our roster for the rest of the season. We need him. It's not like people are just telling you to pick him up because you just want to see Scottie's son run around. No, he's a point guard. We need a point guard. It's like, Jesus, this is not that hard of a thing to do. And another thing, if you don't want to call him up because y'all concerned about the chemistry with him and Beasley, which I think is just not real, I don't think that's even a thing. If y'all worried about that, there's a guy by the name of Chris Dunn who's floating around the waiver wire. He is 28 years of age. He was a third-round pick back in 2016 or something like that, 2016. And I do believe that after what he did with the Jazz on his last 10-day contract, he should be in the league right now. Just like Dennis Smith Jr., he's one of those. And so I look at him and I say, okay, at 28 years old, his career went completely left. He is a certified bust in a lot of people's eyes. But we had success with a guy by the name of Stanley Johnson who was in the exact same boat as him. No different in my opinion. Same boat. And so it's one of those things where it's like you pick up Chris Dunn, you bring him to your roster, you put him on your bench, and you see what he can do. And his upside, it's probably still some. At 28 years old, I can see a guy being good at 28 and being really good at 31. That happens all the time. I think getting him and establishing him as one of our rotational pieces could help booster our defense tenfold, because that is where Chris Dunn is really a monster. And if he's in good shape, he's going to force steals. I ain't forgot that at all. So that's where he can really help us. And the continuity, I think he is a pass-first guy. He can't shoot worth much back in the day, but who knows where he's at now. He's probably refined his game entirely over the time. But back in the day, that was the thing. He couldn't throw a rock in the ocean, and it was really a hard offensive way to go. He's the kind of guy to walk away with 4 points, 5 steals, 8 assists, and 3 rebounds. He's one of those. And so that's what I'd expect from him. Not as much scoring, but he'll really help us defensively. He'll locking people down, give us some of that Patrick Beverley. He's a smart defensive player. And I think he'll help us with our passing quite a bit because that was one of the things that he did really well in college. And I think that he can help us there. And like I said, in Utah, he was balling. And that was like 2 weeks ago. So he's in excellent shape. His game's looking great. He was highly productive. We talk about somebody who really came in and made some impact there. So he should be in the league now. You forget about his draft status. All that stuff is over with. He's well past that. He probably absorbed the fact that he didn't make it and all of those different things. We're past that. Now we're starting anew. This is somebody who's in shape. This is somebody who's trying to establish that he always could play, and he's ready to take on whatever role's coming next. So I'm excited about Chris Dunn just in general and what he can do anywhere in the league if he just gets the right role. And I think we are a team who could afford to roll the dice on his piece, have playing time for his piece down the stretch of this season, and maybe establishes him as a real player in this league after having a hell of a time working with us, helping us get to the playoffs. So, I don't think there's any downside to that. It ain't going to cost us nothing to give him a look, to bring him in for a workout. We need the point guard. So I think it makes a lot of sense to try to see what he can do for our third, second unit, what have you. And you never know. We might mess around and stumble into a player that can really, really be a part of our rotation. If he's going to play like he did in Utah for us, we need that. We need that. And whether it's going to be 15, 20 minutes of that, we need that. Because at the end of the day, we have trouble guarding the perimeter. Okay, we suck guarding the perimeter. And we do have some issues with our continuity without D'Angelo Russell, and I don't trust D'Angelo Russell to stay healthy. I just don't. I don't think this is the last of his injury issues. You're going to see him sitting a lot. And so this is why you need to bolster your point guard position. And, I think we missed that Patrick Beverley piece. I think we missed him. Even though we hated how we used him, we could still use a hound dog chasing people around, especially since his coach loves to use drop coverage and stuff. From what I understand, it takes a lot of energy to do that. If you have a Chris Dunn subbing in for Dennis Schroeder, you're going to feel a lot better about that drop coverage, in my humble opinion, given his defensive mindset. So that is what I wanted to say, man. Give Chris Dunn a look if you're afraid to call up Scotty P. But do not be afraid to call up Scotty P. Don't do that. We should. Now, this is when you look up and say, why isn't Mac McClung on our team? We need a point guard. There he is winning dunk contests. He is good. It ain't like he sucks and he can only just dunk. That's just not what it is. He can actually do stuff you need him to do. So it's like, maybe we should have held on to that player and this would have been the time to give him an opportunity since you don't want to call up Scotty P. I don't know. But whatever, man. Get us a damn point guard and don't allow any excuses for us to not have continuity on our basketball floor. We must win basketball games, Lakers. I'm sorry. You know, we've drug our feet on our roster decisions all the way up to the deadline, made the right trade. We're really, really happy. But we do need to address what is in front of us with our timeline being so thin. We're talking games here. The timeline is games. And I want everybody who's watching my video to fully absorb that. Your timeline ain't nothing but 3 or 4 games, Los Angeles. So you have to make quick organizational decisions based on wanting to win here on out. And as we said in the beginning, if you're not doing that, then you need to acknowledge the shift and start doing things that losing teams do in situations like this. If you're not going to do that and you're going to stay in no man's land, the worst is what you're welcoming. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching, and I'm out.